Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Selfish Truth. I'm Niels Hansen. Today I want to talk about an article that I came across about the United States Pentagon reducing the size of the forces to levels that were around in 1940, so 1 year after World War II started, which is interesting. And after I was reading it, I read the article, and of course I read, what their perceptions or the bias of the actual writer is, or the journalist. And then I started thinking, and granted, what I thought probably hinges on the ideas of conspiracy theories, but I tried to be as realistic as possible. Now, one thing I'm going to disclose as well is I am Canadian. So for those of you out there that are, I see them a lot of times. Whenever we talk about United States, like politics or anything like that, or if I defend the United States, everyone just assumes, oh, you're an American, and they start bashing me. Because this is what happens. And I'm talking about non-Americans, by the way, if you're in the United States. And it is a fact. I'll go into this in just a second. As a side note before we get into this, because I find it very fascinating, and you as an American may not actually realize this. However, I like America. I'm grateful. The livelihood of my family and everything like that is because of an American company, Google. So I am extremely grateful. I get paid in US dollars. I hate to say it if you're a Canadian, but I like seeing that loonie, the Canadian dollar plummet, because that difference allows me to live a hell of a lot better here. As the Canadian dollar plummets and the US dollar rises, my life becomes so much better. Not that I want to see, it's not going to fall into despair. I mean, I believe there's a one point, oh man, I wish it was around at this point, where it was I think it was $1.50. United States dollar was $1.50 worth of Canadian. Holy crap, that is awesome. Not so good for the Canadian economy, though. So anyway, I love it. Does the United States have problems? Do I recognize that? Oh, hell yeah. I mean, what country doesn't, though, really? But yes, the United States has their fair share. As an American, I'm going to tell you something right now, because I'm a fairly well-traveled Canadian. And this is very common practice for Canadians when we go somewhere, because a lot of times other nations outside of North America can mistaken Canadians for Americans. They just assume, we're all the same. But there is a distinct difference in the way that they treat us. And I'm not going to go into reasons why, because, I've had conversations with them, and I don't want to get into this because it can turn into a big fight. But here's the reality. Whenever I travel, and I've traveled to North Africa, the Caribbean, all over Europe and everything like that, and it's almost always the same. There is always a moment where if I don't have a Canadian pin, a Canadian patch, or something that identifies me as a Canadian, those people, whether it's a store merchant, whether it's, a restaurant, just general people, hanging around somewhere, at the beach or something, I will be treated kind of abruptly, rudely almost. I'll be treated rudely and everything like that, and they're like, blah, 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 and they're like, and then someone in the group or something happens where they're like, well, where are you from? Asking me, am I from Florida or California? I'm like, oh, I'm from Canada. They're like, oh, Canada! And boom, they light up. They light up and they start treating you a hell of a lot better. I'm not talking about oh, Canada. They're like, oh, it's like, oh, I'm sorry for treating you like a piece of shit. Honestly, this is what happens. The rest of the world, and I don't know if it's your travelers. If you don't ever travel or anything like that and you're in America, maybe you should when you travel, you are representing your country. It's not just the politics of your country, it's the people traveling, and maybe it's because it's the elite, maybe it's the snobbish people treating other people like crap. This is what I'm actually being told by these people when I'm in other countries, and it puts a really bad taste in their mouth. And suddenly in their country, they're talking to their friends, they're like, oh yeah, these Americans, and they think that they own everything and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and then it spreads, and suddenly it becomes necessity as a Canadian traveler to wear a Canadian pin, and I kid you not. And I'm just like, wow, that's got to be really bad, because when I go to the United States, I don't feel that way. Most of the people I meet are very kind, they're nice, I don't know, I just don't see it. But when you travel outside of North America, that is a reality. And that happens. But I just wanted to make you aware of that. Now, in terms of this story, there's a little side note too. You're like, damn it. So when you travel, make sure you're in your best behavior. You're representing your country. Don't be a snob. Don't treat these people. Remember, you're in their country. That's just a warning. Yes, you can be proud of your country, but when you're traveling, you're not in your country. They don't give a crap about it. This article talks about reducing the numbers, and I thought this was, I think it's going to be stopped, first of all. I think that it's a great idea. I love the idea of doing it, because what I hate seeing is the United States constantly going out to these skirmishes, and battles and wars and everything and conflicts outside of North America to, I guess perceivably assist and help, people are like, oh, well, there must be oil or gold. I mean, we hear this all the time, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that it's not true in some cases. Maybe it is. Sorry, I got a little bit I was like heartburn. I was like, oh, I'm getting heartburn talking about. But the bottom line is, there are so many billions of dollars being spent by the United States government on new technology, on maintaining the size of this force and the fleet and everything like that, to the point where it's draining and it's taking away from the infrastructure and the well-being of the American citizens. And to me, I read the article and everything. They're like, listen, even if we reduce those numbers, and I think they could reduce it more than what they're even talking about inside this article, without jeopardizing the safety and well-being of Americans on American soil. That's really what they were talking about, and why the Pentagon wants to do this. They're like, when we reduce these numbers, we're not, and it's going to be, this is the problem with politics as well. And I don't know if it's going to be Republican or Democrat, but they're going to cry and sing these sweet songs and manipulate people. Even if they don't change you, they may tell your parents, and next thing you know, it's because your dad's telling you, like, oh, it must be true, my dad wouldn't lie to me. Everyone gets manipulated by either side. There are always interests as to why they want to squash it. They're like, no, we're going to become weak and everything like that. You would still have an incredibly large military, enough to sustain the safety and well-being of America on American soil. Your effectiveness outside of that would be diminished. Your ability to go to Afghanistan. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be the real bad guy here, and I really don't care. This is just the way I am. Who cares? Let them work on that. Let the rest of Europe defend these places. Let the rest of the world come together. It is not the job of the United States to be the world police. Take care of your citizens. If you reduce the number of the military by what they're talking about, not only are those billions of dollars going to go back into the infrastructure, hopefully, and don't believe I'm naive. I know how this works. Even if the additional billions are available there, suddenly that disappeared. Where did it go? Why isn't, okay, now we can easily afford, Obamacare or whatever you want to call it. We could easily, if we reduce the military, won't cost anyone anything. We can have the best free healthcare in the world. It's not going to happen. Those billions will be transferred elsewhere, and no one will know, and be like, I don't know where it went. Do you know where it went? I don't know where it went. So strange that we're still suffering. $13 trillion, at least that's a while. It may even be bigger. $13 trillion deficit that the United States already said that they can't get out of it. It's near impossible. But at least this would be an attempt. There are so many issues still going on within the United States. People with minimum wage, the arguments of their health care. There's so much wrong with the infrastructure itself. Why not take care of yourself before you take care of the rest of the world? And they're just all smashing you and calling you names anyway. Let them deal with it. Even if you have to build up later, let's see how the rest of the world handles it when they have to actually handle their own shit. You know what I mean? Stop doing that. Take care of your own people. It always, it reminds me of an airplane. Whenever they talk about an airplane, and when we travel for the first time with our kids to LA. I think it was last year for E3, the electronics convention in Los Angeles, and visiting Meat Wagoner Chris out there. And I always remember, and it never hit home until I had my kids with me, but the stewardesses stand at the front. They're like, in case of emergency, if we drop in altitude, the oxygen mask will drop. Make sure as an adult you put yours on first before you help your kids. And I'll tell you, as a parent, and I know this, my instinct, if we were like that and they drop, my instinct would be to take care of my kids immediately. I wouldn't even think about it, but I have to think about it. I have to, worry about taking care of myself, because if I don't put that oxygen mask, and they say put your oxygen mask on first and then help your kids, because if I don't, I can lose. They're not going to be able to help themselves. I have to make sure that I take care of myself in order to properly take care of my kids. And I look at that as an analogy for United States and the world. I'm not saying to permanently ignore the rest of the world, but take care of yourself. They're talking about another financial crisis potentially hitting. This could easily sort of pave the way or neutralize that. A move like this could neutralize it. And by at the same time, not weakening yourself, you could still easily defend yourself. Defend North America from, risks or whatever the case may be. But the problem is, and this is where, and I think this is brilliant, I think that they absolutely should do that. You would still be incredibly powerful. You'd still have the nukes, aircraft carriers, an amazing military overall. Incredible. But the savings could be infused into the infrastructure and the American citizens. And I would like to see something like this happen. Will it happen? Oh, hell no. I don't, maybe by a few numbers. It's actually been dropping. It has actually, they've been doing it, but I think they can do a lot more, but it won't happen because of corruption in politicians. And this is, I guess, where I'm spilling a little bit into conspiracy theories, or maybe being a little bit realistic and less naive. There will be parties, and I don't really give a rat's ass if it's going to be Democrat or Republican. I don't want to hear that. I don't give a crap which one you support, because I don't trust either. They're politicians. They sing you the songs in order to get into, politics and everything like that. And then it's the people with the money that control it. The idea behind this, though, is that because there's so many other, the war manufacturing or technology in the war divisions and stuff like that, in military divisions who make products for the military, they give a tremendous amount of money in lobbyist funds that they will never admit to, that you will never see. You guarantee that happens. This isn't even conspiracy. This is just reality. This is what happens. We're like, oh no, we'll help you do this. And it may not be like, hey, we're going to give you this millions because you're going to do what they don't directly say that, but everyone knows. They're like, oh no, we'll help you with this and we'll help you with that. And it's known that when a favor needs to call, be like, you're going to squash that. You're not going to reduce the forces. You're not going to reduce this project and that project, because millions of dollars are going in your pocket as well as these politicians. So, something like this, unfortunately, is going to get squashed. Now, in terms of these wars and everything like that, does the United States always need to be there? Do they need to be leading the charge and everything like that? The one side argues that it's because they're trying to do what's right. They're trying to fight for that guy that can't, the little man who can't defend himself, the person who's defenseless and is asking for help. Oh, it's such a nice idea, isn't it? And I would love to believe that that is 100% the truth. I'm not saying that it's not an aspect of it isn't, or that isn't part of the reason why they get involved in these conflicts, but you can be guaranteed that there are much bigger things going on behind the scenes. We're going to go here because these people are involved and we want favors, or we owe them a favor, or it's because of this, or it's because of companies in home that will benefit from the production of certain things. There is so much bullshit going on behind the scenes to promote conflict, to promote their involvement, to spend that money that the American public so desperately needs to become powerful. If all that money, if you reduce that military down to a reasonable size like they're talking about, even beyond that, my God, man, if it was actually properly spent on the American citizens and the infrastructure, this country, right across the border, about 2 hours away from me, it would thrive again. It baffles me, but that as much as we're helping this poor little doggy in Afghanistan and they're all crying and we're just going there to help them out. But there are other ties, and the people that benefit from it, it's not you. It's not the American citizen. Your taxes are going to pay for this, right? Is it bettering the United States overall? Is it because, oh no, we need to do this to make sure that we're able to continue trade and continue blah, 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 blah? I highly doubt it. I think a lot of these conflicts that they get involved with benefit and protect the interests of, and I hate to say it because I actually, these arguments really bother me. They bother me, and I'm not going to get into this time. But they benefit that 1% and 2%. They don't benefit you as a general citizen. You think a conflict, even fighting over oil, how many of you have billions of dollars in oil? How many of you would benefit from that if they sustained that? If they protected the interests in oil as you do your daily life, as you work in your restaurants or work as a car mechanic or do your normal 9-to-5 job or whatever the case may be, or even more hours than that. You think those conflicts actually benefit your life? No. They benefit, although, under the illusion of the guise of helping the world and maintaining and being the good guy, there are things behind the scenes that benefit the elite, that you will never see benefit from. So why should billions of dollars be spent on helping the rest of the world? Let the rest of the world take care of themselves for a while. Take care of yourself. Only when you are well, it's like that airplane analogy, put the oxygen mask on America, let them start breathing well again. Take care of yourself, and then once you are a lot better, because there's way too many things going wrong in the United States right now, take care of yourself and then worry about the rest of the world. There's always going to be a shitstorm somewhere in the world, and it's not your job to take care of it every single time. You know what I mean? Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Obviously, and this is an article I just read like not even too long ago, like an hour ago or so, but it starts eliciting a response, and this is what I really like talking about. And sure, I'm going to be the first to admit I'm ignorant on many aspects of everything that I just mentioned today. I don't fully understand everything that's involved, but I don't need to. I think I'm reasonably intelligent enough that I can look at this and say, okay, this is what they're presenting it as. Here's a possibility though, here's a possibility. How much of it is this? How much of it is that? I don't know the percentages. I just realize that things are not always as they appear. But helping, putting this money back in there, I think if the Pentagon is even suggesting it's not a ludicrous idea, but there are going to be politicians that are going to squash that. They're going to squash that really, really fast because they're going to come up with reasons as to why they're going to do it. And the biggest thing that annoys me about this whole thing is that there is going to be a tremendous number of people that just gobble it up. They just take what these politicians are saying, and for whatever reason, it's like on the same wavelength. They're like, yeah, no way, we shouldn't do that. We need to continue. We have to be strong. Like, you idiots, stop being sheep. Take care of yourselves. You're being manipulated by people that don't give a shit about your life. You are a pawn, you are a cog in this machinery of society. That's it. Nothing more. They don't know your name. They don't care if you die. You're replaced by another number, another statistic, another baby, another whatever workforce. They don't care about your individual life as an individual. They don't care about you specifically. So stop protecting them all the time. Wake up. Anyway, that's it. Whew, I love talking about this stuff. I really do. If you want to share some ideas and everything like that, remember, and in the comments, even if you disagree with every single thing that I just said, no problem. Put it in the comments below. Express your opinions. Share your thoughts. I don't care if you agree with me or not. Just be respectful. Don't be a douchebag, because I'll just block you. I like dialogue with people that can express themselves in a reasonably intelligent manner, because if you can't, there's no point in talking about it, because I don't have conversations with sheep. You know what I mean? That's it. See you guys later. Have a great day.